Results are in. Ah, good evening and welcome to Act One, a Canadian take on news events. I'm Gordy Canuck, and here's the number 87.4% of the delegates casting ballots at the Conservative Convention in Calgary, which will be wrapping up tomorrow, have endorsed Pierre Poilievre's leadership. Pierre Poilievre will be remaining as the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada. For me, that was never in question. It was simply a matter of how strong an endorsement would he get. I kind of had as my bell benchmark for him to maintain his leadership. The number I had in mind was 70%, that he would have to get 70% or more of delegate support. He got 87.4 as per the results just released within the last 2 minutes. That means that Pierre Poilievre will be leading the Conservative Party into the next election whenever it is called. We do not have to have an election until April 28th, 2024. So it would be 2028. However, there is the possibility of Mark Carney dissolving Parliament and trying to garner a majority. And so that would be a snap election call made by Mark Carney, or conceivably there could be a non-confidence vote. I consider that unlikely, but possible. And anyway, that is a relief. I was glad to see that he got a strong, monumentally strong endorsement, 87.4. I'll remind anyone watching, and I see I have a few. The live chat is open. You can fill it up. What were your thoughts? Did you think I was optimistic that he'd punch in around the 80% mark. I'm thrilled with 87.4. 90 would have been fantastic. The higher, the better. But 87.4 is a mammoth endorsement from party delegates, from the grassroots, if you will. Every electoral district association, that is to say, every riding, 343 ridings in Canada, had the opportunity to send a delegation to Calgary for this convention. Pardon me, I'm going live and unscripted, just off the cuff, but there were in and around 2,600 eligible delegates at the convention casting ballots, and of those delegates coming from ridings all across Canada, Poilievre got 87.4% of the vote. And if anyone's curious as to the nuts and bolts, I know a fair bit. I don't claim to know everything, but I'm a political junkie going back to my teenage years and studied political science at university. Again, I'm not saying I know everything, but I know a fair bit. I'm not going to sell myself short either. It was either in 2004 or 2005. I forget exactly what year. Stephen Harper, when he ran his first election campaign, the Liberals had won three majorities in a row under Jean Chrétien. And then Paul Martin was the new leader of the Liberal Party. And I believe the election was either in 2003 or 2004. Pardon me, I need to get some water. So back in around 2004, Paul Martin took over the leadership of the Liberal Party from Jean Chrétien, and Stephen Harper was the newly elected leader of the Conservative Party. And he fought Stephen Harper fought his very first election campaign and he lost. Paul Martin's Liberal Party won a minority mandate. Does this sound familiar? And Stephen Harper opted to stay on as leader. And so he faced a mandatory leadership review. What happens with the Conservative Party is that after an election, if the party fails to form government, if they lose, then the leader, if he wants to stay on, or she, as the case may be, is required to face a leadership review. That or they can resign. Andrew Scheer, after he lost the election that he ran in, I guess that would have been 2015, he lost the election, he resigned. Aaron O'Toole lost the election in 2019, and he tried to stay on, but then the caucus voted for him to leave. Not a leadership review with delegates, but a caucus vote, and then he opted to resign. So Pierre Poilievre, like Stephen Harper, fighting his first election campaign, doing very well, like Harper did, but he didn't form government, faced the leadership review, and Harper got 84% in around 2004. I might be off by a year, plus or minus, and I can't be bothered to check right now. So Pierre Poilievre did even better than Stephen Harper did. And it should be remembered that, of course, Stephen Harper, after surviving his leadership review, getting 84%, in the following election, he formed government. He won 2 minority mandates, followed by a majority, and was Prime Minister of Canada for close to 10 years. So I think the Conservative Party of Canada, incidentally, of which I am not a member. I am not a member. I'm not a card-carrying member of any political party. That is not to say that I am not biased. I have no compunction in sharing the fact that in the most recently completed election back in April of last year, April 2024, I did in fact vote Conservative. In the previous 2 elections, in 2019 and in 2021, in those 2 elections, I had voted PPC, People's Party of Canada, the party led by Maxime Bernier. And here's a shocker. In 2015, I had actually voted for the Justin Trudeau-led Liberal Party of Canada. I made a mistake. I recognize it. I wish I could take that vote back, but too bad, so sad. Once you mark your X and put it in the box, that's it. And I'll own it. I wish I hadn't voted for that dilettante, for that poser, for that empty-headed virtue signaling moron. But hey, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Trudeau fooled me once, he didn't fool me twice, and he certainly didn't fool me a third time. Wish that was true of more Canadians. We wouldn't have the inflation that we have. We wouldn't have the runaway immigration problems that we have, open door immigration, creating havoc in our housing sector, certainly, and associated other problems, especially in the major centers, the big cities. No one has anything to say, so I'm going to wrap up. How do you like them apples? Had Poilievre come in at around 80%, I think you would have seen liberal-dominated media framing it in the worst possible light. They would have said 1 in 5 Conservative caucus members do not support Poilievre's leadership. They're still going to try and spin the Conservative Party as being a house divided, and they're going to misrepresent the truth. When a party leader gets 87, darn near 87.5, 87.4%, That is just about as strong an endorsement as you can get. And they are going to try and spin it. They are going to try and push a narrative that the Conservative Party is a house divided. They will make mention of the fact of this uh, Conservative Party member from the Greater Toronto Area who crossed the floor. Probably I'm speculating here, but I imagine promises were made, and a lot of politicians are loyal only to themselves. They just want to get elected, and there are individuals, and I know some who wait to see which way the wind is blowing before they throw their hat into the political ring, and they decide between the Conservatives or the Liberals based on who they think has the best chance at gaining power, because most Canadians are not voting for their local representative. They are voting for the leader of the party. In this most recently passed election, more Canadians liked Mark Carney better than they liked Pierre Poilievre. Did they make a mistake? I think a lot of Canadians woke up and recognized after 10 years of Justin Trudeau that, man, oh man, we made a mistake. We shouldn't have. And the Liberal Party under Trudeau was set to be decimated under his leadership. So they brought in their shiny new pony, their Mark Carney, Mr. Harvard, Mr. Cambridge, or Oxford, I forget. He's hardly spent any time in this country at all over the past 20, 30 years. He's been, an absentee citizen carrying his European, or rather his British and his Irish passports, telling World Economic Forum types during sit down talks that when they say, as a Canadian, well, actually, he said, I'm a European. This is, our prime minister who doesn't even identify as Canadian first, whereas you have Poilievre, who, you know, went to the University of Calgary. He and I find it peculiar about the Canadian psyche how we seek approbation from the United States and from overseas. You're not famous. You're not truly famous in Canada. A singer, an actor, a comedian does not become truly famous unless they are recognized outside of their country. And oh well, that Pierre Poilievre, he never went to Harvard. He didn't go to Cambridge or Yale or Oxford. He went to the University of Calgary, a crappy little Canadian school. We want someone who the Americans like, who the who the Europeans like. We don't want a Canadian running this country. We don't want a Canadian as our most senior elected public official. So I'm rambling, but it's going to be interesting times. Mark Carney has a honeymoon going. The press is on full oven, like they were with Trudeau early on. But Canadians eventually woke up. They smelled the coffee. They realized what a joke Trudeau was, irrespective of all the praise he got from the media about being, this wonderful woke, it's 2015 leader. We got to have 50% women in the cabinet and on the front bench. Yeah, and over a 10-year period, Canadians woke up and said, "Oh my God, this guy's been a disaster." Well, Mark Carney right now is benefiting from the same honeymoon that Trudeau initially had. And as time goes on, and as Canadians wake up to the fact that we are putting ourselves more and more under the protective umbrella of the communist Chinese, they're going to, and when they see what Carney is doing, he's presenting the government as, we will solve your problems. We'll give you more GST rebates. We'll give you more money to help you pay your groceries. We're gonna solve all your problems. And as Ronald Reagan once famously said, the 9 scariest words in the English language are, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." That's Mark Carney's slogan. I'm the government and I'm here to help. And government isn't the solution. Government is the problem. We pay so much in tax in this country because of policies like that of Justin Trudeau, with Mark Carney as his chief economic advisor from 2020 on. And Mark Carney is continuing what Trudeau did. He's just heaping on the debt and heaping it higher and higher and higher. And today's debt is tomorrow's taxation. And it reduces the ability of the government to fund the things that government should be funding, like national defense, like you know, trade relations, like maintaining our embassies abroad, like providing for healthcare. Government is trying to solve all the issues and we're getting bankrupt. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. Share your thoughts down in the comments below. If you watch later, Gordy Canuck, a Canadian take on news events. That's the name of the channel. Act One, ACTONE, a Canadian take on news events. Again, Pierre Poilievre, massive endorsement from Conservative Party members, 87.4%, even higher than what Harper got after he lost his first election. And then after that, getting that strong endorsement in 1980, in around 2004. Got to watch myself. Harper, after getting a strong endorsement after losing an election, then went on to win the next three, two minority mandates followed by a majority. So God bless. Thank you for watching, and go Conservatives. We're in trouble. Carney and his liberals are leading this country off we're progressing right over a cliff, right over the waterfall. God bless. Hope to see you back. Like, subscribe. You know all the stuff. Bye now.